Yes, we
Good
are.
afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the USDA NIFA Higher Education Multicultural Scholars Program webinar. I'm Courtney Simmons, a National Program Leader here at USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture. And I'm joined by my colleague today, Mr. Donovan McLaurin. Donovan and I are managing the MSP program this year, and we are supported by Dr. Michelle Shelsky-Santos, as well as Ms. Sierra Campbell, who will provide backup support in the event that Donovan and I are unavailable. To start our webinar, I will share USDA's non-discrimination statement. In accordance with federal civil rights law and U.S. Department of Agriculture civil rights regulations and policies, the USDA, its agencies, offices, and employees and institutions participating in or administering USDA programs are prohibited from discriminating based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, age, marital status, family parental status, income derived from a public assistance program, political beliefs, or reprisal or retaliation for prior civil rights activity in any program or activity conducted or funded by USDA. Remedies and complaint filing deadlines vary by program or incident. This slide contains contact information for individuals with disabilities who require reasonable accommodations. In addition to contacting NIFA or the responsible agency, you may contact the USDA's Target Center or the Federal Relay Service. To file a program discrimination complaint, please complete the USDA Program Discrimination Complaint Form, the AD 3027, or submit a letter to USDA by mail, email, or fax. USDA is an equal opportunity provider, employer, and lender. Today's webinar will feature a panel of 4 MSP project directors. Each panelist will spend about 10 minutes providing an overview of her or his project. Attendees, you will hear from panelists who are in various stages of their projects. Some are in the infancy stages, whereas others are ending. After all panelists have presented, we will then transition to a question and answer segment where I will invite the speakers to respond to your questions. Before we hear from today's panelists, I would like to share a brief NIFA overview and share important details about the MSP. The National Institute of Food and Agriculture is the extramural science funding agency within USDA's research, education, and economics mission area. We invest in and support initiatives that ensure the long-term viability of agriculture. NIFA provides funding and strategic leadership for programs that are highlighted on this slide. As you notice, we support a range of food and agricultural science topics. Today, as you learn from our panelists and as you review the request for applications, you will notice that all of the science topics shown on this screen are supported by the MSP. The purpose of the Higher Education Multicultural Scholars Program, the MSP, is to provide scholarships to support recruiting, engaging, retaining, mentoring, and training committed multicultural scholars, resulting in either baccalaureate degrees within the food and agricultural science discipline or Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degrees. All MSP projects must focus on developing skills necessary for employment or for entering graduate programs in food and agricultural sciences. If you have not done so, please review our 2024 request for application, which is available online. You can access the RFA by going to the MSP Funding Opportunities page or directly through grants.gov. This year, applications are due in grants.gov no later than 5 p.m. Eastern Time, April 1st, 2024. We are still awaiting funds for 2024, but we are expecting that this year's allotment will be similar to previous years. The maximum funding per award is $250,000. There's no limit to the amount of proposals an institution may submit. However, an institution may only receive a maximum of $250,000 in awards. When applying to the program, please choose the program code KF. If you do not identify the correct program code, then we cannot guarantee that we will receive your application. Because applications are due by April 1st this year, we anticipate reaching out to applicants with an acknowledgement receipt no later than 3 to 4 weeks after applications are due. So if you have not heard from us by the end of April, early May, please contact us for the status of your application. And without further ado, I would like to introduce today's first panelist. Dr. Shannon Coleman is an associate professor and state extension specialist in the Food Science and Human Nutrition Department at Iowa State University. Her extension and outreach work includes developing and disseminating food safety curricula and resources for Iowa's emerging, very small, and small food manufacturers. Her research uses various evaluation theories to evaluate food manufacturers' attitudes and behaviors toward following food safety practices. In addition, Dr. Coleman has expanded her outreach and research to fill gaps in improving food safety and the local food system from farm to table, including developing curriculum and resources for youth, adults, and gardeners. Outside of her extension role, Dr. Coleman served as the Cyclone Scholars Multicultural Scholars Program Advisor. Dr. Coleman, I invite you to the virtual stage so that you can share your project entitled Cyclone Scholars Undergraduate Training Program for Underrepresented Scholars in Food Science with emphasis in food safety.
All right, thank you. So for Iowa State, this was our fourth cohort under this funding. And during this time when we received this funding, Dr. Nuria Acevedo and I started exploring different ways that we could add some additional resources and support for retention for the students that were a part of our Cyclone Scholars Multicultural Scholars Program. Next slide, please. So for this program, Dr. Nuria Acevedo and I were building upon existing cohorts of scholars that we had. And as I said before, we were working on retaining them in the area of food science. And so we added in this proposal that there would be a research component as well as biweekly meetings. For the previous group, they met once a month to do just the overall checkup. And so we wanted to do something new as it relates to the program overall. We also wanted to incorporate professional development, such as introducing them to the professional organizations that exist here on campus as well as in the region, and with the ultimate goal for them to attend a professional meeting. Next slide. So as I mentioned with the previous group, they met once a month and did checkups. So then with this group, we worked on engaging them more with questions and as well as giving them some area to share about areas that they may be struggling in. So we went from monthly meetings to biweekly meetings. And so at those biweekly meetings, we added themes to them. And sometimes they would go by the semester, or it would go by every other week will be a different theme. And so some of the areas that we addressed in those biweekly meetings, we spent the whole semester on project-based learning theories. We did mock interviews as well as resume refreshers every year. As I mentioned before, we had professional organizations. So we had the Institute of Food Technologists, not so much the overall organization, but we had the Iowa regional section come in and speak about their group, as well as the International Association for Food Protection. So that's our food safety professional organization. We had leadership at our university, and so they were able to sit down and talk with the students about their roles, how it started for them, where they how they started as students with their leadership, and how that developed over time into their professional careers. We also wanted to incorporate research in the program as well. So I, at the time, was teaching our food microbiology lab course, and there were several students that they would make it to their senior year and hadn't done any research in anyone's lab. So for this group, we wanted to make sure that we start incorporating and start introducing them to various topics in the area of food science and food safety. So we had them go into various areas from meat science, meat safety, dairy science, chemistry, and I even had a couple of students that worked with me on my food safety education projects. And so with that, we had funding in this grant to cover the cost for the faculty members. So they used it to either pay the student their hourly wage, or they used it for the research project overall. Next slide. So in our RFA, it said that the students had to have some form of a study abroad experience. And so 3 out of our 4 scholars that we had in this project attended a study abroad experience that we have here at Iowa State called Cathedrals, Castles, Cultures, and Cuisine Sustainable, Safe Foods and Nutrition Food in France. And so with that program, it provides a unique experience in France revolving around food. They will learn about culinary attributes. They experience food from sourcing, preparation, as well as the consumption standpoint. And they discuss the concept of food sustainability and how it differs between US, France, and additional key aspects of the French culture and history by visiting multiple cathedrals such as Notre Dame. And they also visit several historical sites throughout Paris. The one scholar that did not attend this program opted to do a study abroad during the spring of 2023 in the Philippines. And you'll kind of notice at the end which student it is, because she had more of a business focus. So I think the study abroad was also aligned with a business focus. Next slide, please. So testimonies from Celeste Chadwick, one of our scholars who attended the study abroad program. She was a food science student, as well as she was a double majoring in French. And so she mentioned in her quote that she was happy for the opportunity. She mentioned that with her being the food science major, she said sometimes other country food system wasn't discussed in depth. So I think we have one course that kind of goes into world food issues, but not in depth to the level of specific areas and countries. And so she felt that the study abroad allowed for her to learn about different cultures, that also inspired her to, in the future, want to work abroad. So because she was dual major, she got to actually practice her French that she had been learning with her other major. Next slide, please. So accomplishments. So out of our 4 scholars, 2 graduated. So Celeste finished in spring of 2022. She's now working on her master's at the University of Tennessee. And then Urini Calavara graduated spring of 23. She did go into industry for about a semester. She was over at Hormel down in southern Iowa, and she rethought it, I guess, being there, and decided to come back this January to get her master's at Iowa State in the area of meat science. The other scholars that are left, Yasmin Lamberson is working on finishing up her concurrent MBA program. So we have a food science program that you can also, towards the end, get a concurrent MBA. So that is the student that went to the Philippines instead. And then we had a student that came in kind of late into the program. I think she came in when she was a freshman and the others were like sophomores and juniors. She is still a student in school, and she is double majoring in chemical engineering and food science. Next slide, please. And that is it for me. I would like to say this is a Shannon show and Shannon did all of this. No, I did not. It is a team. So I wanted to take the time to thank the original PIs of our previous cohort. So Dr. Ruth McDonald and Dr. Ruth Litchfield, and as well as Ms. Ann Odom, who works as an advisor for the scholars when they are freshmen and sophomores. And then as we transition over to my leadership along with Dr. Acevedo, so Dr. Acevedo and Dr. De Leon, we all served as advisors to the last two cohorts. And so it wasn't the Shannon show by herself. I had a great team that helped support me in this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon, for sharing a bit about your project. And next, we have Dr. Srini Kunduru, who is the chair of the Department of Agricultural Business at California State University, Fresno. He received his master's and doctorate degrees in agricultural economics from the University of Missouri. Prior to that, he earned his MBA and his bachelor's in India. He worked in the middle-level managerial position in a multinational agri-input company for more than a year before getting back into academic. His research interests include economics of biotechnology, policy analysis, and international trade in agricultural commodities. He currently teaches in the areas of export markets, agricultural business management, and leadership. Dr. Kunduru has written numerous journal articles as well as various research and industry reports. And I will let him provide an overview of his project entitled Pathways in Undergraduate Education for Multicultural Scholars with collaboration between Fresno State and Madera Community College.
Thank you, Dr. Simmons. This is a great opportunity, and thanks for giving us the opportunity to present our grant programs. And as the title suggests, it is a collaboration between our university, California State University, Fresno. We locally call it Fresno State, and Madera Community College, which is a recently established community college, relatively in a adjoining county of Fresno. It is in the Madera County. So it is a collaboration between our two institutions. And I also thank my colleague at Madera College, Madera Community College, Dr. Elizabeth Mosqueda, who is the co-PI on this project to do a lot of background work in recruiting students and transferring them to Fresno State. So next slide, please, to go into the details. So as like any other MSP program, we are focusing on recruiting, engaging, retaining, mentoring, and training committed multicultural scholars. But the little difference that we have here is we are this is a kind of a program where we are focusing on transfer students from the community college to the four-year institution like ours. So the first 2 years, the students will be completing 60 units of transferable coursework that they accomplish at Madera Community College, and then transfer to our four-year institution, which is California State University, where I'm based right now, to complete their Bachelor of Science degree in either the areas of agricultural business or industrial technology, which has got two options, as mentioned there in the first point. And we are obviously focusing upon the success of historically underrepresented and underserved populations that are mirrors the demography of this region. And again, the focus of the students may change. Some of them might want to pursue graduate school. Some of them might want to go into the workforce. So as the students go into these programs and decide upon their career paths, we'll be providing adequate support either way where they want to go ahead into their careers. To the next slide, please. So we have about one of the reasons why when we went to this kind of collaborative program between two institutions is we wanted to uh, impact as many students as possible. So with this kind of, usually in California, I'm not sure if many of you are aware, or maybe it is prevalent in many other states as well. The community college systems are much more supported by the government, California state government. So the fee structure is much more reasonable compared to the four-year public university system. So economically, it makes a lot more efficient decision if you are pursuing the first 2 years in the community college and then transfer to Fresno State or any other four-year institution. So we want to utilize that kind of arrangement that we have to impact as many students. So we are able to get the scholarship spread to almost 11 students, a cohort of 11 students. So we basically are recruiting them from local high schools, feeder schools, and also from Madera Community College. And also one more kind of differentiating aspect of this program is our students are all admitted in different years. Staggered kind of admission process is what we are following. So out of the 11 students, uh, uh, 5 of them start as freshmen at Madera Community College. 4 of them start as sophomores at Madera Community College, and 2 of them just in the year one, they just transfer to Fresno State after they already completed 2 years of their program in Madera, and those 2 students will be transferred to Fresno State. So we already have started the program in fall 2023. So 2 students transferred to Fresno State in fall 2023 itself. So that way we are trying to kind of have a staggered flow of students all through these throughout the grant period. And we have a guided pathways approach. That's what we follow. Basically, we have articulation with the community college regarding what courses these students can take, and they'll be counted here as well when they transfer. And as it is a relatively new community college that was established, we had to set up some of these articulation agreements for some of the courses, but it is all done, and we are, as of now, we don't see any hiccups or anywhere for all these 11 students to seamlessly transfer into our institution in the course of next 2 years as well. Yeah, next slide, please. So regarding the implementation, we had if you look at the timeline of our proposal, the first 8 months or so, we focused upon recruitment and selection processes, and we developed a plan for recruitment in local feeder schools, high schools, and we had the faculty members as well as the academic counselors visiting those high schools during their career days and telling about this program to the students. And we had a very good response from students who wanted to apply for this grant, and we set up a rigorous selection process which included a recommendation letter, as well as it looked upon the GPA and other extracurricular activities like participation in FFA programs and many other programs locally. So all of these were taken into consideration to recruit students, and it has also self-selected in that process itself who wants to apply or not. So it was a good learning experience for us also to improve upon our recruitment methodology in the future as well. And once we had the applicants, then we went through the selection process and basically had a orientation at the beginning of fall 2023 for all these 11 students as to how this program will be run and what are their what do we expect them to do while they are pursuing their career paths while they are at the institutions. So that included, and we encourage them to participate in various experiential learning activities that includes internships, as well as if they want to go into graduate school, if that is the path they choose, we'll encourage them to participate into work with faculty members, as well as apply for the honors program, which focuses upon more academic research, and also study abroad programs is also one of the focus of our departments here. So the students can pursue, and some of the funds were allocated to all of these experiential learning activities, so that as per the students' needs and their interests, we can support those activities. And we also, every semester, at least twice, we'll have individual appointments with the faculty members, especially me at the Fresno State and at Madeira with Dr. Elizabeth Mosqueda, for to look at how they are, proceeding in their degree plans, and especially when you're looking at the transfer from one institution and another institution, we have to be careful so that they won't miss any deadlines, and the applications to get admission into the four-year institution is going seamlessly. So all of those care is being taken, and as of now, we are going ahead seamlessly and smoothly in all that processes. Next slide, please. And of course, we already have faced some challenges. I just wanted to, share those challenges and what can we do better. It might be a very good exercise for all of us as well. So in the recruitment efforts, the only suggestion is the earlier you start, the better. Because all the admission decisions for the students and their families and everything that gets done almost a semester earlier, up to 8 months earlier, or even more. So you have to start recruiting students as early as possible, and spread the net as widely as possible to various institutions and career days in those institutions. So a lot of background work needs to be done, and you have to take the help of your counselors and other recruitment personnel in your institutions in order to do that. And retention of students and change of majors. What is that? Is the students obviously during their four-year career path in these institutions, they tend to change their outlook, their perspectives. They want to change their major sometimes. Already we have a student who wants to change from ag business to plant science, because that's what she feels that it is more suitable for her interest. So we are providing all that guidance which is necessary in that in that career path, and we are doing as to make the transition for her as seamlessly as possible. So that is kind of a challenge sometimes, and we have to be ready for that. And also one more big challenge that we faced is, after this grant has been awarded, Madeira Community College, being their one of the newest colleges, they got more funds for their tuition waiver program for their students. So some of those funds which we have allocated for covering the tuition there are kind of they have already been covered through that earlier college-wide program. So we are looking at avenues how to utilize those funds for other academically supporting activities for those students. So that's kind of briefly some of the challenges so far that we faced. I think, yeah, my time is done, and thank you very much. I'll be available for question and answer sessions.
Thank you, Dr. Kenduro. Next up, we have Dr. Robert Cobb, who is an associate professor in the Department of Applied Engineering Technology. He is the PI and site director of the UNITE program at North Carolina A&T State University, providing hands-on research and career opportunities to motivate and prepare high school underrepresented and minority students who are marginalized in STEM. He serves as a co-PI on the USDA's Multicultural Scholars Program grant led by Dr. Paula Faulkner. Dr. Cobb has advanced certification by the Association of College and University Educators in Effective College Instruction Framework, and he has served as an ACUE course facilitator for the faculty for several HBCUs in North Carolina and Mississippi. Dr. Cobb will provide an overview of his project entitled Multicultural Scholars Program, Preparing Future Global Ag Leaders. Dr. Cobb, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Dr. Simmons. Good day to everyone. Our project team comprised of 6 faculty, 2 from Family and Consumer Sciences, specifically in nutrition, and the other faculty were in agricultural education, animal sciences, natural resources, and myself out of applied engineering and technology. Next slide, please. And so to achieve the goal of the MSP was to increase the number of skilled minority undergraduates prepared to earn graduate educational employment in the food, agriculture, natural resources, and human sciences. With that, we pretty much over the last 4 years accomplished the following objectives: recruit and select 4 highly qualified scholars, support scholars in completing degree programs to earn a baccalaureate degree, enhance scholars' academic research, technology, leadership, and cultural competencies, engage scholars with community and the world through experiential learning activities, and prepare scholars for graduate education and employment in the food, agriculture, natural resources, and human sciences. Next slide, please. So in our efforts, we had 4 undergraduate students that received training and mentoring. Our mentoring was weekly and monthly meetings via email, text, and Zoom. And this was to provide the scholars with support for their goals toward graduation and transition to graduate school or career. Our mentors assisted the scholars with resume development, preparing cover letters, tutoring, referrals if they were having any trouble with any of the classes as they were matriculating through their program of study, completing professional development events, and providing letters of recommendation to assist in their academic needs. And the mentors also helped with placement in the internships, preparation of abstracts, CITI training in order to prepare for their research experience and being able to present and support their research development. Next slide, please. And we also had some areas of training where we actually trained these students or the scholars in using Zoom technology in order to be able to communicate with their mentors that I'm going to talk about a little later at the other sites that mentors that help them with their respective research. They also, in completion of the Clifton Strengths and Attend student-led organizations such as Manners, which is the minorities in agriculture, natural resources, and related sciences. They also participated in the Pre-Vet Club to gain leadership or develop their leadership skills. We also had international travel, gaining mentoring by faculty from School of Food and Agriculture from the University of the West Indies, Trinidad, Tobago, to complete research on international agricultural topics and travel to Grenada to enhance their cultural awareness. Next slide, please. So these were our 4 mentors. We had Oyan Martin, who's majoring in land and food systems, Jaquan Battle, majoring in agricultural education, Kyra Price, majoring in human nutrition, and Tamaya Betty Brown, majoring in animal science. Next slide, please. And so their research experience occurred between the summers of 2022 and May of 2023. And these were some of the research experiences that they participated in. And as you can see, it was quite intensive. They had mentoring by the College and Food Agriculture faculty from University of West Indies. They presented research during their poster presentations in Grenada, and you can see those images below. They conducted research using summer research internship, and this happened at Purdue University, Michigan State University, and North Carolina Cooperative Extension, and the Greensboro Science Center. Presented research during the universities, North Carolina A&T State University's Undergraduate Research Symposium in 2022 and 2023. And they also participated in the annual Biomedical Research Conference for minoritized scientists. That was in Anaheim, California, and Phoenix, Arizona. And also the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences Student Showcase of Excellence in September of 2023, where in this particular event, we had 2 of the scholars who were awarded Best and Runner-Up for Study Abroad poster category. Next slide, please. In line with their research experience, the scholars also engaged in preparing a manuscript. And so we had all the scholars there. Mr. Jaquan Battle was a co-author along with the Dr. Janelle Joseph, who was at the University of the West Indies, and she actually was the faculty who worked with Jaquan on his international research experience, as well as myself and Dr. Faulkner, who is the project director for this project. She was the lead author on the manuscript. Next slide, please. And so the special experiential learning experiences, the students and Dr. Faulkner went to Grenada, and they pretty much, the whole point of this learning experience was for them to gain global agricultural knowledge by participating in lectures, laboratories, and field trips, recognizing and reporting significant differences in the similarities between the U.S. and tropical agriculture systems, enhancing technology and communication skills, and by developing and presenting presentations using graphics, tables, and charts. So a lot of the technology things that they learned, because they were working with faculty and people in different sites, that they had to use a lot of the Zoom technology in order to accomplish their research goals. And increasing their cultural competencies was another thing. Next slide, please. And so some of the images I'm going to show after this slide kind of depict or illustrate the cultural explorations that the students participated in while they were in Grenada. So I'll just go ahead and go to the next slide just so you can kind of see some of these the images there. So here at St. George's University, they were also at the T.A. Marichaud Community College, which is in Grenada. You see them looking at the underwater sculptures. They got to participate in that and working on going to the farm itself. Next slide, please. And these are just some other images of the experience that they had in Grenada. One thing that I do want to kind of point out is one of the challenges that was experienced doing this is that during the overseas experience, international experience was supposed to happen in Trinidad and Tobago. And that was pretty much already all set up in order to go. But then what happened was at that time, Trinidad was experiencing level 2. But during the routing of the permission to travel, they moved to a level 3 as far as travel. So A&T didn't allow any travel to happen if a country was under, if the destination was under level 3 or above. And so that, instead of going to Trinidad and Tobago, the opportunity was changed to go to Grenada. So that's the reason why the students ended up having the experience in Grenada. Next slide, please. And the experience that they had in Grenada was publicized in the newspaper in Grenada. And so you can kind of see the image there. Next slide, please. And so currently we'll have 2 of the MSP scholars are on track to complete their degree requirements in the spring of this year, 2024. Jaquan, who is expected to attend Norfolk State in communications, and Tamaya has applied for vet school and some opportunities in private industry in animal health. Oyan and Kyra will be finishing up their requirements in degree requirements in the fall of 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cobb. I appreciate the updates, and I definitely appreciated the visuals. It was good to see the scholars in their element. Last but not least, to close out the panel presentation, we will have Dr. Julie Chang. Dr. Chang is an associate professor in retail management at Texas Tech University. Her lab studies the psychology of clothing and fashion consumer behavior. The main goal of Dr. Chang's research is to explore the therapeutic effects of clothing as well as fashion consumer behavior related to self-concept and well-being. Technology and sustainability in fashion are also the important research topics of Dr. Chang under the big umbrella of her expertise. Dr. Chang, please go ahead and provide an overview of your project entitled Empowering Global Leaders with Integrated Thinking, Moral Resistance of Sustainability for the Underrepresented Undergraduate Population.
Thank you so much, Dr. Simmons. And it was so good to see the diverse project at the different stages. So I'm so glad and I'm very honored to be here to talk about my project, because this is actually at the kickoff stage. So we just recently received the grant for the period for 2024 to 2026. So I'm very excited to talk about the early stage of our project here. So this project is the collaboration between the 2 disciplines. As you can see, my background is in the retail management, and Dr. Simmons talked about the fashion, right? So there are lots of things related to the agriculture background, especially in the cotton, product. So I collaborating with the 2 project director. So one is from our department, Dr. Stacy Lee, and she's also focusing on the research on sustainability. And another collaborator is from agriculture, education, and communication. Her name is Dr. Courtney Myers. So can you go to the next slide? Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. So the project objective is to build the global leaders with integrated thinking skills in the context of moral resilience of sustainability in food and agricultural sciences. And before I talk about a little more about the specific objective, I want to talk about the rationale of this project. And in the field of the fashion, and going back to the beginning of the supply chain, that's going to be from the cotton farm or in the farming industry, critical human virtue, moral values, and ethics play the crucial role in leadership. Therefore, developing the sense of right and wrong and guiding individuals' behavior toward the greater good is essential in our higher education. And also, personal experiences and background can shape our individual's value and ethic, but education played a critical role in their development. Therefore, we believe that well-developed moral value and ethics can significantly influence the leadership, decision-making, and behavior. And we are talking about the AI a lot recently. So AI cannot fully comprehend or replace the human thinking in certain aspect of intelligence, especially the ethic and moral reasoning. So therefore, our project is focusing on building this global leader with integrated thinking related to the sustainability and moral resilience. So going to the specific objective of this project, first, we will identify the multicultural scholar among the undergraduate student in a diverse population. And second, we'll provide the experiential learning that focuses on the moral resilience of sustainability. Third, we develop the multicultural global leaders with integrated thinking skills and a greater level for moral resilience of sustainability. And fourth, distributing this knowledge and application of moral resilience of sustainability to broader and diverse undergraduate student population and community. And fifth, evaluate short-term and long-term outcomes of the project. Next slide, please. So I want to share about the planned activities. So as I mentioned, we are in the early stage. So we just started to kick off the project, and our team is so excited about this project. And all the team member, our co-director, we started to having meeting like weekly basis to develop the first level of the objective to recruit these multicultural scholars. And once we recruit these multicultural scholars, we have 3 big activities we are planning. So first one is experiential learning. Second one is that research experiences. And third one is professional experiences. For the experiential learning, so we plan for them to meet the diverse stakeholders of the supply chain of the cotton to the retail, like supply chain for the moral resilience of sustainability. So we have lots of good partnership, lots of great supporter from the raw materials, sourcing, retail, and sustainability offices. They're going to work with us, and we have a lot of like planning for actually travel for students to visit this location to meet these key leaders of the supply chain. Second, they can also build have the research experiences by developing the case studies and vlog for the moral resilience of sustainability by applying the key concept, environment, social, and governance aspect of this, moral resilience of sustainability by what they learn from the stage 1 from the experiential learning. And third, for the professional experiences, they're going to build a global leadership skill by presenting at one-on-one or group or conference meeting for what they found from these project activities. And they're going to build a social network from these experiences. And eventually the goal is that they can disseminate the information and knowledge gained from this training to the broader audience. They can include the classes and the community. Next slide, please. Okay. So actually this is our stage now. So we are in the process of developing our recruitment like flyers and the details information. So we are planning the 5 students who will be selected to participate in 1 year actually scholarship program, depending on the school year they are. So they can have up to 3 years involvement. And following the orientation meeting in summer 2024, they will begin the formal program in fall 2024. And these are some of the criteria we kind of set it off for the applicants must be the student in the College of Human Sciences and Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources. And the other criteria include the U.S. citizen and permanent residents. This is along with the guideline from the USDA, guideline. And they should demonstrate the leadership potential, community to promote the diversity and inclusion, and have career goals in line with the project purpose, and who consider themselves to be the underrepresented group, and they are strongly encouraged to apply. And we set the priority for first-gen students from the underrepresented population and financial need. And we came up with some of the question. We don't want to make it to be too extensive question, but we have some question to they can freely answer about this diverse area we mentioned about, diversity, inclusion, or leadership, or the related to topic that we are providing about the sustainability. Next slide, please. So these are the expected outcome of the project and student participation. So as I mentioned, integrate thinking of the global leader is what we're planning. And we're at the stage of developing the clear guideline for the student as well. And they're going to have the one-to-one mentoring meeting. So as we are going to have 5 scholars each year, we have 3 team leaders, the project director. So it can be more one-to-one, mentoring. And we are going to have a group meeting as well to have an overall arching goal to be accomplished. And 3 areas for the integral thinking, including the decision making, critical thinking, and problem solving. And we are going to incorporate these elements in our project guideline for the student. And for the feasible, like more like tangible outcome will be, they're going to have this case study to be submitted to the, the more broader, for the broader audience to review. And also they can present their outcome for the vlog and the case study at the conferences we are going to go and attend. Okay, next slide, please. And I want to talk about the partnership that we have. So as I mentioned, we are going to have this overall like a supply chain like cycle starting from the farming. So we have a contact with the, great support from the Broadview Agriculture Incorporated. So they are near our area, and then they are the organic cotton farm company, and they're really well known for that. So they're going to start. I mean, our first destination will be going to this like farm to learn about their like leadership and how they do with the moral resilience and sustainability. And then also next step is gonna be the Fiber and Biopolymer Research Institute in our university. So they're gonna go and see how that the cotton to the fiber process will be conducted based on the sustainability perspective. And then we have Prince Cotton Incorporated Association who's supporting us greatly. And the M. Taylor, this online, actually the retail company. And there's a great example about the sustainability because they are tailoring the clothing for the consumer. And then they use lots of cotton like a fabric. And so we have the connection with the CEO of the company who's gonna support us for our students to train for the moral resilience of the sustainability. And last but not least, National Retail Federation is one of the largest retail federation, and they have a sustainability component. And the vice president of the sustainability in the NRF is the big supporter of this project. And then we are planning to have a travel to New York to learn about the different like area and learn about the sustainability from this NRF center. So this is pretty much, I mean, I don't really have the picture to show you yet, and hope we can have more the next time if I have opportunity. But this is pretty much the overview of our project, and I'm very grateful about this opportunity to start our project. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chang. And now we will invite the rest of the panelists back to the virtual stage for questions and answers. We have one question in the Q&A box. The description of when students were enrolled in Fresno State's program seemed to contradict guidance in the prior MSP applicant webinar that the MSP students must be selected within 12 months after the award start date. Could you please clarify this?
Yeah, they were selected within the first 8 months, and their program started. They got admitted into the program in fall of 2023. That is, their start dates were in August at Fresno State for 2 students, and for the remaining 9 students, sometime in August again of 2023. And the first 8 months were spent on recruitment. So I don't know if I answered the question or read your question right.
And Matthew, please feel free to come off of mute if you have a follow-up to the question.
No, that was very helpful. Thank you.
This is Jacqueline Holland from Morgan State University. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed all of your presentations. They're very unique and creative. So I just applaud all of you. My question is then, can we use the first year for recruitment if we are awarded the grant? Yeah, to reach out. And the other one is, can we target freshmen, or is it just sophomores and above?
So those are really good questions, Dr. Holland, and yes and yes.
Great, thank you.
Any additional questions? I see that we have a couple more people on with us, so feel free to raise your virtual hand or come on off of mute to ask your question.
I do see one question in the chat box.
And so this question, I think, is for two panelists. Why are only 4 students involved in the grant? So why are only 4 scholars selected for the project?
I can get started. With the way the funding is set up, we set ours up to provide scholarship to those 4 scholars to retain them through the 4 years of them getting their degree, as well as the way that we pay for the full study abroad with the funding. And so study abroad costs a lot of money. I didn't do study abroad as a student, so and so watching them go through it, and so we pay for all 4 of our scholars to go. And so with the way that the funding set up, we can only, making sure that we follow closely to the RFA, we can only sponsor about 4 students per cohort.
And at North Carolina A&T State University, I will co-sign on what Dr. Coleman said.
Thank you, Drs. Cobb and Coleman. And did that answer your question, Joan? And feel free to come off of mute.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Do we have any additional questions for the panelists?
I typed mine in just so it has a record on there. Was there a prior agreement between the community college and your university for the grant proposal? Forget who was doing community college.
It's
Yeah,
free. Yeah.
it is Fresno State. Yeah. So we had there is no agreement of a definite admission that will be provided, but the courses are articulated, and they'll be counting towards their degree when they transfer into Fresno State. So that is part of the broader arrangement that we have with community colleges in our feeder area.
Thank you.
If I have one more question and anyone can answer, is there anything that you would do differently to kind of improve or upgrade what you're doing? And I know that you're all in different stages. So as you kind of evaluate, assess, would you do anything differently?
If I would, I'll start with that. One of the things that at A&T that we probably would do differently would be to kind of have a wait list of persons who might be interested, just in the event that if a scholar went through the program and didn't continue to fulfill or meet the requirements, things of that nature, that someone could kind of come into it and just keep the ball rolling, as opposed to kind of doing a stop and start and those types of things. So I think that would be one of the things that we would do. And the other thing I think we would do would be to, based on, especially for the experiential learning experiences and international, to kind of identify several sites, because as I talked about before, that having that situation with a destination being in a level 3 kind of really threw a monkey wrench in a lot of things. And it was just by blessing that one of the person that was at University of West Indies was the person who recommended Grenada. So even though it kind of still worked out, not anticipating that kind of issue with going through a level 3 or level 4 as far as travel. That was kind of unexpected.
I like the idea of what Fresno State did. I was thinking that if I did continue on with the process again of doing the transfer students, I have mentored a few of them, and there's a disconnect there. And so I feel like having a learning community for them could have been helpful. We have one, but I'm not sure if we still have it or not, but I just, for multicultural, we have one learning community for transfer students overall, but if we had one also for transfer to our students of color, I think that would have been helpful as well, because sometimes we kind of lose them. The other thing is because they are transferring in some credits, is a little bit confusion about the additional credit hours they have to do and some things. So if there were some more opportunities there for them, that is what I was thinking about doing for a new version of the proposal. And then I've been working with, because I am a food microbiologist and I am a food safety expert. I am not a higher ed person, but I do have many friends that are in higher ed. And so we have looked at the RFA a few times of how can we do more? How can we, try to approach more than those 4 scholars at a time? And so I felt good when I stumped them last spring. Because they were like, wait, okay, now what we got to do? And so we read through the RFA again, and I told them, I said, yep, we have to follow these steps. And they go, okay, we got to figure some things out. So, just some more proper planning on our end, but before we tackle it again or find a more sustainable issue. So I did transfer the conversation over to our student success program in our College of Ag. And so they're starting to think about it more of what they can do to sustain, to try out something again and then sustain it further.
Thank you, panelists, and thank you, attendees, for joining us for today's webinar. If you have additional questions, you can always reach out to me directly, or if you would like to connect with a panelist, feel free to reach out directly to the panelists. And if you need their contact information, you are welcome to notify me, and I will happily provide that information for you. And as a quick public service announcement before we end today's webinar, NIFA is hosting a virtual grants support technical assistance workshop from March 4th through March 8th. So please navigate to our NIFA events webpage to register for that grant writing workshop. And we have one more question that came through from Joan. Did you provide scholarships to the students while they were at the community college? And this is for Srini. Yep.
Yeah. Yes, we provided while they are at community college for their first 2 years, which is obviously it's a lot less expensive in California. So the amount that was given to students while they're at community college is very less compared to when they transfer into 4 years institution. And your second part, I can see in the chat, how did you differentiate MSP funds for other activities versus SEL funds? What do you mean other activities? I'm not.
Like if you did research or they did some non-coursework activity.
We put it in everything in the SEL, like if they are going to be going in a study abroad, it is through SEL. If they are going to be an internship, if they needed some kind of support while they're pursuing the internship, if it is a not completely supporting them or a non-paid internship, some amount of funds can be again through SEL. And if they are participating in conferences, again through SEL. So we didn't put anything. It's just tuition plus SEL. That's all the categories.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that concludes today's webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.